Так, я, наверное, сейчас все решаю. Okay, guys, we're on stage. Can you hear us? If it's all okay. Yes. Okay. I will maximize my face. Yeah. So hello, guys. I'm on stage from AmazingHiring. And today we're going to share the best practices of email subject lines or email body or follow-ups. And we definitely have collected the best tips we could find. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, I see some faces whom I know. Okay, let's play a little game, not about coronavirus. Can you please share in the chat the last email subject line that you have sent today? Just open your mailbox and copy paste the last email subject line that you had. Let's share it. Let's see what we all have. I will share my own as well. It will be about marketing. Okay. I have had conversation with smart recruiters yesterday, so my follow-up was like that. Just a second. Life changing decision time. Okay. Okay, something in Dutch. I think we can download all these answers and share it in the follow-up email as well, or make a blog post. How about coffee this time? Yeah, we'll have to send such email subject line as well. Cool. Okay. There are so many people on this webinar, like more than we usually have. So we all have some free time, right? Or some education at these times. I will switch to the presentation. Yeah. I will tell a few words about our speaker. Dana is a member of AmazingHiring team. Yeah, and she's a great consultant. You can see companies who have had her training. So like Morgan McKinley, Alexander Mann, Accenture, EPAM, Siemens. She consults all these companies, and she cares for customer success. He helps recruiters use AmazingHiring better and helps them to recruit faster. So she will share everything we have about candidate engagement. So say hello, Dana.
Hi guys, Anastasia, thank you very much for the introduction. And everyone, thank you very much for joining the webinar today. I know that the topic is really relevant for all of you here. So the reason why we just decided to talk about it is that every day during the last 7 years that AmazingHiring exists, we communicate with tech recruiters really closely so that their pain has become ours. So we just wanted to share our expertise because basically this is our job to make your job easier. And before I start, I just wanted to say that please, you can see here in the chat box the section questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send your message into this question section so that your question wouldn't be lost. All right. And then in the end, we will have, I think, like 10 minutes QA session, and then we will answer all of them. No worries. Very nice to see so many faces. Really, it's just amazing. Okay, then. So candidate engagement. It's quite a tricky art. I have a great question. What is perfect candidate engagement? I mean, I think it's when you have enough time to write a perfectly personalized email to every candidate you have sourced And then your candidates flutter and amazed with the job conditions and your recruitment proficiency just line up to have a coffee with you tomorrow morning, or a virtual coffee at least. So it sounds really good, but what is real candidate engagement? In the real world, you just don't have enough time for it. You source candidates and then send them a bulk mail out with a few follow-ups and get a bit disappointed with the response rate. So let's just talk about how to create a candidate engagement that works. You can see here on the slide our agenda, so you know what to expect. You might wonder, what is preparation for a perfect candidate engagement? It might sound a bit weird, but your candidate engagement starts when you get your new project's job description. Once you've got it, dedicate some time on trying to study it, because you must know what you're selling. And I don't mean you need to know it to the tips of your fingers, because you are not a developer and everyone understands it. So just make sure that you understand the basics. What technologies are used for the project, what languages and tools are necessary, and what they mean. It might sound really, really obvious, but the thing is that I've talked to so many of you, and I've talked to so many developers as well, and I know that sometimes recruiters just misspell some technologies. It's, well, I don't know, it's like physics. You might not know the formula of Newton's second law of motion, and you don't have to because you do not calculate, but you must know what it means. If you ask me, I've just checked before our webinar, it's the greater the mass of an object, the more force it will take to accelerate the object. So that's the thing which you will definitely learn after our webinar. Well, the idea is pretty simple. Just be able to explain your job role and what makes it cool so that your candidate could understand it, and understand that you know what you're talking about. You haven't just copy-pasted the requirements. You two speak the same language, so you can talk. If necessary, just rewrite the job requirements as you understand it, and then send it to your hiring manager for proofreading. Well, then you do sourcing. And so far, let's just skip this part. If only we could do it in reality. So you've done some sourcing, and let's assume that you have some number of pretty good candidates for your role. And before putting them to your mailing list, spend some time on getting to know them. Make a deeper research. Find some common attributes within your list of candidates and divide them into smaller groups united by those features. That is what your future personalization will be based on. And right now I'm talking about some not really obvious common attributes, like, for example, having children, or being graduated from the same university, or living in the same region, or something like that. It's not that difficult. So, all right, it seems like we've done some, we've set the stage, so it's time to write our email. And you might now ask, why an email, not a LinkedIn message, for example, because I know that LinkedIn is really popular among recruiters. So the thing is that from year to year, numerous studies and surveys carried out by some decent sources, like, for example, Stack Overflow, you know, it's released its developer survey 2019, and it's really, really curious. So they state that emails are the most preferable way of communication for developers. So we cannot ignore this fact. But here's the problem. We'll receive dozens of emails on a daily basis. So do our candidates, which means that you have literally seconds to catch your candidate's attention before they send your email into the trash. So your subject line is your first touch. Let me... Oh, sure, guys. I just saw, I saw the question. Of course, we will send you the recording after the webinar. No worries. There will be everything I'm going to cover during the next 45 minutes. So please, no worries. Okay, then. So the subject line is your first touch. It's crucial to make it sound interesting to your candidates. And for some reason, some recruiters fail to do that. So it's not impossible. Here you can find some rules to follow to create a working subject line. Most of them are quite self-explanatory, but I'll still say a few words. First of all, keep it short. It's very likely that your message is first viewed on mobile, so make the subject line readable. Usually, its length should not exceed 40 characters. It might be less, it's all right, it might be shorter. It's even better, I guess, but subject line can be longer if you add some personification in it, like, for example, first name. But don't forget to put it in the beginning, otherwise it'll be in vain, because if you make up some perfect subject line with a first name in the end, there will be, I don't think they will manage to see it. So please make it clear. Let it reflect your message. Let it tell your candidates what's inside, which basically leads us to the next rule: not to make false promises unless you want to discredit yourself. I mean, of course, you can make up some really catchy subject line and force a candidate to open your message. But what's next? Your candidate will just realize it's not about skiing or some once-in-a-lifetime opportunity or whatever they just suggest in all those viral articles. It's another recruiting email with quite a regular position. So is it worth having harmed relationships? Because in the end of the day, it's all about building rapport with people, right? Like in a perfect world, again, I really love to refer to some perfect world. So in some perfect world, your candidate engagement is just like having a conversation, simple, honest, and kind. Well, another way to bring discredit upon your reputation is cliches. Now I'm gonna say some bad words like code ninja, JavaScript guru, Android rockstar, superhero, evangelist, Java magician, trailblazer, Jedi. Better not do that. And the last but not least, write your subject line after the body of your email is ready. Then it will be much easier for you, so you would know what your message is about. Okay, well, here I have also prepared a few examples of such simple and yet working subject lines. If you have better ideas, and I'm pretty sure you do, please share in the chat box. I believe we all need a bit of inspiration these days. And also, if you have any ideas of how to make these subject lines better, please also share, because I know that some of you are really great in creating some perfect subject lines. So, but no worries, we will still send it to you after the webinar is over. Okay, so how to write a cold email? You need to bear in mind one very simple idea. Mention only what matters most. Tell your candidate what they want to know. And it's not even a secret. Plenty of articles, surveys, open letters from developers themselves say what is most important. And usually it's a project. So tell them what's the project is about. What is mission? What is the technical stack they'll be dealing with on a daily basis? What is the project's main goal this candidate is supposed to help with? Here you can also see some examples. For example, how to describe the project. Our team is entering the US market, and we're aiming to raise the number of users to 10 million within 1 year. So this is the main goal. The tech stack consists of Java on the backend and Django as a backend for frontend. The client part is written by components, blah, blah, blah. So you can see it all here. Your candidate understands very clearly what he or she is going to do with it. All right. Then, of course, we cannot also ignore the next thing. It's the conditions. Tell them what the conditions are. They will definitely want to know if all this fuss is worth leaving their comfort zone. So tell them, sometimes I know that sometimes you're not allowed to disclose the salary. That's all right. So just tell them it exists. Like, tell them if it's higher than average. Tell them if it's competitive, or maybe there's something which is more important than maybe the salary is average. So, but you still have something to offer, like the bonus package, or well, whatever, some children benefits and everything. So, and finally, of course, it's about them. I mean, they want to hear about them, right? Let them know it's not just a spam email out. Let them know that this letter has been designed solely for them, not just any other Java developer with a similar experience. Mention something that will make them feel special, like, for example, project. I know that it's possible for some roles, like, for example, mobile developers. You can check their Google Play profiles, or designers, you can check their Behance profiles and everything. And also you can mention some special achievements, like, for example, GitHub open source contribution. You can check at least the Stack Overflow's rating, or, of course, mutual contacts or interests. Someone whom you both know. Something which is interesting for both of you. Skiing, Harry Potter, well, anything. Basically, you can treat it as your recruiting homework. Well, let me quickly check the questions. How appropriate it is to mention the salary in the subject line. If it's your selling point, I believe you can mention it. I mean, I just want to believe that the best way of communicating with people is to make it most transparent and honest. And it's basically something that might help you avoid future ghosting and everything. So just think like how you would like to be treated if you would be on their place, for example. So let me continue on this at this point. All right. So I've also noticed that recruiters still ask for a resume, although it's considered bad manners to ask for a resume in the age of LinkedIn. Always finish your letter with a call to action. Let it be a question about their background or an invitation to have a chat next Monday morning. Either is good if it engages your candidate in dialogue with you. If you're used to finishing your letters with a call preposition, suggest some specific time. Do not ask when it will be better for them, as you do not make it easier, since it's highly likely that they might open your message on the go. Make it easier for them to reply to you with a short yes or no. So I will also give you a few examples a bit later. I can see that people go on, continue asking questions. This is really great. I will answer everything in the end, so I could not be interrupted with it. All right, now, folks, I really want to engage you right now, so let's play a game. I suppose it's a pretty familiar game to you. It's called Spot the Mistakes. So here you can check the screen right now. Here you can see a cold recruiting email. It's not really good, I will admit. So I want you to notice mistakes and send it over to the chat box. Let's check if you're able to find at least, let's say, 4 mistakes, because then we'll do some correction work. All right, I'll give you just a few minutes. Okay, I see. Yeah, that's great. Continue. Amazing. Yep. Well, you're pros. You notice everything. It's really great. So let's just wait a bit until maybe some more people will also be engaged now in our little game. Yeah, it's very nice to see that you notice such things, which means that you do not do that. That's really good. Well, you're much better than I expected. I just mean your engagement. You're all typing. That's great. I just thought that maybe, sometimes audience is really quiet and shy, and they see all the things, but for some reason they do not write it. Okay, great. So now let's check. Basically, you've named like everything, I guess. So let's continue. So here, let's name the mistakes. First of all, of course, it's a very spammy subject line. There are some words which increase chances of your email to be sent to spam folder. So do not use them. Use something else. Be a bit creative. Do not use buzzwords, but just be a bit creative. And also, of course, there is no name. I think there's just no valid reason not to write a name if you know it. And is there any chance you might not know the name of your candidate? So just always mention it. And you can see that I highlighted all those mistakes in red. So I highlighted I because there's no introduction. Just tell them who you are. It's okay. This is how you usually start your conversation in the real life. So just tell them who you are and why you are approaching them. LinkedIn. I believe LinkedIn became a bit tasteless. Refer to something a bit more, let's say, relevant. Maybe probably GitHub, Stack Overflow, well, anything else. But just avoid LinkedIn when you can. And also, there's this suggested that you can be a very good fit cliche. Don't decide for them. Leave them some room for maneuver. Ask if they'd like to consider your proposition, if they're open to new opportunities or something like that. And also the wording, the thing is that sounds a bit like a justification. It's all right that you're approaching them. It's all right that you're reaching out and trying to propose a better role. So, of course, it's all these buzzwords like rockstar and ninja. I won't be commenting on that. And also, you can see another cliche. It's one international company, which sounds a bit like an industry leader or trailblazer. But if you, for some reason, are not allowed to disclose your client company's name, at least tell them what it is, what's it about, what this company, what its industry, at least something to make them know why you are approaching them, why your candidate should be interested in your proposition. And also, great work environment, be more specific. You can see that I also highlighted the bullet points. It seems like you've just copy-pasted the job requirements from the job board where you published your job position. Of course, it's if you're interested in learning a little more, send me your resume. Don't do that. It's also about the proper call to action. Affirmative sentences, no, do not use them. Let it be a very specific question. And also, do not ask for a CV. It's your homework to find out if this candidate suits you. So do not waste anybody's time. Just check their LinkedIn and other profiles. Okay, then, it was really brilliant. Thank you very much for being that active. And now let's check another email. Let's do some correction work. Of course, I'm pretty sure you can do much better than this email, and still it shows some rules implemented. So first of all, it's, let's say, moderately creative subject line. You can see it. It's a bit long, and still it's funny, so it might catch candidates' interest. What else? It's a first name. It's introduction. I tell my candidate about me a bit. And also it's a company description. You can see it highlighted in green when I say that it's that my company has participated in Y Combinator group. So it's has just been recently listed and everything. And also I refer to GitHub because this is where this is where developers spend most of their time if we talk about some platforms. Also, I describe about the project itself, about the role. I'm putting here some value proposition, saying that it's not a regular role. So I'm just trying to answer the question, why should they be interested? So I'm telling it's not a regular role. It's something different. It tells, it offers you, and then I just tell that. So I also describe the technical stack, and I show a bit of my personality, saying that I would be happy if you answer me, really, because I'm really looking forward to your answer. And there's a quite specific call suggestion. All right, so let's wrap it up. Okay, here, by the way, I really hope that once we send you the presentation, you'll find some time to read this very, very long letter about the company, which exists for more than 3,000 years and everything. I've had a bit of fun writing all of them. So there are some don'ts which you need to avoid. Do not send the same text. Customize your template using some personification. Avoid buzzwords. Java wizard, bomb salary, Chuck Norris coding skills. Do not ask for resume as well as for recommendation, because it's basically like asking someone on a date, and before they even had a chance to answer, asking if they know someone else who would go out with you. So it's really weird. And what else? Do not copy paste requirements, rephrase it, just tell them how you understand this role. It will make your email more human. Do not be too pushy, of course. They owe you nothing. Do not use affirmative sentences as your call to action. And something which I haven't said before is do not ignore negative replies. Always reply to emails of those who happen to be not interested in your job position. It's because it's all right. Let them know that you're always there in case they need anything, meaning in case they consider something, some career change, you'll be there. So, all right then. Now let's move to follow-ups, which are an essential part of your sequence. It gives you another try, but it's important to do it right. Well, I think here you can also find some rules. And again, most of them are quite self-explanatory. And still, I think it's pretty obvious that you should keep an email thread. So let's go on with it. Come natural. Don't pretend that nothing happened. Admit that this is a follow-up. Say something regular, like just floating on top of your inbox in case my first email has been lost. Or sometimes emails are sent to spam. Goddamn security. So just reaching out to say that blah, 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 blah. Do not apologize. I did nothing wrong. And one of my favorites, save something for later, meaning keep some information to mention it in the follow-up. That will help come natural. For example, by the way, we're holding a hackathon next Thursday. Would you mind coming in? Or forget to say that the salary at ABC company is really competitive, not to mention the bonus package. Use a multi-channel approach. Send a LinkedIn invite with a friendly greeting. Okay. And here's a few don'ts you should also avoid. First of all, do not duplicate information. Instead, say something new. Just as I've said about saving something for later, that will help you. Do not shower letters upon your candidates. It's a bit irritating. Besides, you also have your breakup email, which is usually really efficient when you say something like, well, for now, I just understand that we'll have to break up for a while, but it really works. I personally love breakup emails. So do not be too pushy. Report is the new black. Well, that's the part which gives you some fundamental background. Now let's put it into practice. As I've said earlier, time is our main obstacle. We need to automate the way it'll take the list of our precious time and effort. And thankfully, we live in the age of technologies. So use what it offers you. I assume that most of you already use plenty of tools which save your time and make sourcing easier. I think it's lots of plugins, tools, platforms. You probably use some email automation apps like Mixmug, MailChimp, or just something similar. So I just want to show how my candidate engagement looks like. I'm going to share my screen with you. And before I'll do that, I just want you to let us know what tools you are using for your everyday candidate engagement. I think because there would be something new for every one of us. Like it might be some plugins, some tools, some platforms, what else? It might be some websites, which, for example, check your spelling and grammar, like Grammarly. This is something which I use. I have a Grammarly plugin. So just write it into the chat to make our session even more useful. I think we'll wait just a bit to make sure that you're all still here listening and wanting to make it more effective again. So it's about plugins, tools, platforms, anything that you use for your candidate engagement, anything which helps you save your time, make it more efficient, and create a more automated candidate engagement process. By the way, do you use glossary tag? I'm pretty sure that many of my friends, I mean, among recruiters and sources, use it for quite often. They use it to check, for example, if there is a new project they're just started to work on, or just some new technology, or maybe, well, anything else. Yeah, just to go there and then check. There's always something new which I learn when I go to glossary tag. It's like my nighttime reading. Okay, yeah, everything from the list is very familiar. Mixed match, Grammarly, mail test, Neural, Lucia. Yeah, that's glossary tag. Great to hear. I just, engage people to use it because it's really important that recruiters understand the basics, the tech. You don't have to know it as developers, but you have to understand how it works at least. So, okay then, I think it's time for me to share my screen. So now I said I will need a few seconds to click on Actions button and then enable screen sharing. All right. Okay, I see that you see it. Now I won't be seeing any of your questions or anything you'd be typing in the chat box. So I'm just saying, I'm a huge AmazingHiring geek because it's a all-in-one solution where I can start my candidate engagement, which, if you remember, I told you in the very beginning that your candidate engagement begins when you just receive your new job project. So for example, for me, it's a Scala developer in some small, medium-sized company in Berlin, for example. So what do? Of course, I start researching my new job position. I go to glossary tag, I just start Googling, I just start, maybe talking to someone among my friends who work with Scala to learn more what it is, what it's about, how it works, what technologies and everything. So I speak with my hiring manager, I speak with the tech team from there to learn more about it, what they want their perfect candidate to look like. So once I've done it, once I'm done with my research, I can do sourcing. What I do, it's pretty simple. I use search form. I type here Scala. Then it was Berlin. Okay, I usually specify a current title, which I want them to have software engineer and all synonyms in their current title, and also let it be Scala as well. So I click on find. It's a very simple search, like just for an example. This is my preliminary search output, and I call it preliminary because I need to modify it a bit. First of all, I need some specific years of experience. Here's a current company, as I'm not gonna approach those candidates who just started working at a new company like 3-4 months ago. It's just waste of time. What else? Let me also do a bit with seniority level. Okay, yep. So what do, I just exclude all executives and managers. I just want to make it easier for me when I approach my candidates. So I do the best what I can when I do sourcing. So also I'd like to start my very quick market mapping by checking the list of current companies. It shows where candidates from my search output currently working at. So it's quite a huge company, as I can see from here, like 69 people at Zalando, 22 Amazon, 9 and 26 and everything. So I can exclude some of them or choose those companies which I consider as donor companies, and I can put those people from my donor companies to a special folder. So that will be my small group. Remember, on the second, I believe, slide, there was a rule to divide candidates into small groups. So that will be my small group, united with a common attribute, which will be some donor company, where I just refer to something which is relevant for all of this within this group. What else? It's might be some education things. For example, I can choose those people who have graduated from the best university in this location. So that would be my personification part, where I just describe something like, I remember studying here, that was the best years of my youth, or something like that. That would make them know that this is a personalized email, that I have dived deeper into their background, and I at least checked their education and some other things. So I won't be writing, mentioning their necessity to have a bachelor degree or master's degree, because that shows that you haven't done your homework well enough. So let's continue here. I have the list of candidates whom I consider to be a good fit for my job position. I process their skills. I check their latest background and everything. So I'm just doing my research, a deeper research about the candidates whom I consider to be a good fit for my job position. So then I just need to create a folder to put them into it, so I could start my mass mailing campaign. So I create my new folder. I name it. I'll fill in. What else? I can put here some descriptions, some things which I need to bear in mind when I approach this group of candidates. For example, all those people have children, or all those people have also speak some different language, or something that unites them. What else? I can write my hiring manager and the statuses. So I create my folder. So I move the candidates into my folder and wait for a few seconds until it's done. In the meanwhile, I can follow my candidates' LinkedIn, GitHub, Stack Overflow, Facebook, whatever I need to get more information about all those people I want to approach. So I open my folder here, where, and in the folder I create my, I start creating my sequence. What do? I select all the people. I click on, just a few seconds for the system to download. Maybe it's my home internet connection. I don't know if it's okay then. So it's all right. So I click on Create Mailing List button right here, and I will. Okay, yeah. And now I will choose some template. I have prepared it before, so I just choose Color Developer for ABC. This is how it looks like. It's already familiar to you. I delete this a very formal signature, leaving only Best Dana. So also I want to check it if it's all right. So I go to Recruiter Link. This is usually where I put my message. I can see that the score is pretty high. It's 9 from 10. So it usually shows if there's some if the spelling isn't right or something like that. So it's pretty useful. What else? You can see that I've put here some links. For example, the link to our company's website, so that my candidate could check this company. Because they might have not heard about it before. That's all right. Not all of you are working at Google or Amazon. What else? There is a description. There's a link to description of our tech stack, so they could know more details that I'm not able to provide them with. And of course, the link to my calendar. I create a follow-up message. I schedule it to be sent in 3 days. If my candidate has been replied to the first email, I schedule it for, let it be, say, afternoon. I choose a template for my first follow-up message. You can see that it's also personalized a bit with the first name, and there is additional information about the conditions. I'm telling more about the salaries, about the compensation, and all this stuff. And of course, my second follow-up. So the second follow-up consists of information about the team, because usually the team is also very, very important. Here I insert a link of the developer from the company, so that my candidate could approach approach our developer, so they could, learn more about the company culture, about the stack, about the challenges and everything. Some things, again, which I'm not really good at. I mean, telling about all this tech challenges. It's much more interesting to speak with someone who's in it. So that's it. I can also send a breakup email, but I usually send it over LinkedIn. Remember I said about multi-channel approach, so do not forget to add all your candidates on LinkedIn, just because it's how you expand your network. Just also send something personal. This is how you can tap into their emotional currency. So then I go to your personalization stage. There's a very important moment which I just forgot, telling about personalization. How to add more personalization. We always need more personalization. All right, that's all right. That's how this perfect candidate engagement should work. So I leave here some empty space. I click on variable section and add a special custom variable, which I call personalization. So I add it right here, and I go to personalization stage. And here, I will check how all the variables were inserted, because it's very important. Sometimes people have their first name where they needed to put their second name, and this is something which you can check once you are on this personalization stage. For example, if all names were inserted just right away, if you didn't forget to mention some personalization. For example, I know that Anna is running a blog, and I've just read the recent article about how technical recruiters, for example, should approach their candidates, just as an example. And I will always mention it, because that will show Anna that this is an email which is designed specifically for her. So I will write here something like, check your recent article. It's amazing. I really think or it might be anything. It might be some mutual interest. For example, you know that a person is a fan of Harry Potter, or a person has a dog, and you also and you do. So just mention something that will show that you are just a person who really wants to make friends with them. So also you can preview your message. So I need to check if my personalized part was inserted just the way it was designed to, so I can see it right here. And it's well, and it looks all right. It looks like, really, I checked her recent article. Well, really, it's all right. So I'm pleased. Okay, I can do that for every one of my candidates among my recipients list. And then when I click on Get Started, I can also decide if I want to launch my sequence right now, or I want to schedule it for a better time. For example, right now it's already evening for some countries, or for some countries it's a lunchtime. So I just want it to be sent, for example, tomorrow at 11:30, for example, because that's usually the time when everyone has checked their inboxes, and my first email will reach the inbox just on the top of it. So why not? And then about the speaking of automation, I can decide if the status of all the candidates in my folder, I mean the recipients of my mailing list, would have a different status. Since I have contacted them, it should be contacted so far. So then I click on Start, and that's it. And then you can just hope for the better to happen. So let me delete it. You can see that here I have all this information, all relevant stats, like how many people have this email sent to, how many people have opened this email, how many people have replied to this email. So it's very useful when you do some A/B testing, and something which you should always do, right? Check different subject lines. Put first name into subject line for some group. Read some really short subject line telling the very idea of your message. Just try different strategies and then see which strategy brings you better reply rate. When you go to messages section, you can always see all the messages which you have sent, and you can also see it right here. So all this engagement is very transparent within the system. So I just stop sharing at this point. Come back here. You can see here the I believe a funny picture telling you that candidate engagement is a really difficult job. So now I guess it's time for question section. I can see here some messages in the chat, like some rhetorical questions. All right, so it's a very, I know that it's a rhetorical question, but it's still very relevant. How likely would expect a developer to click on 3 links in your email? Well, it's if they're interested, I believe they would like to get more information right now, not just wait for me to answer their email and then discuss all the things on the go, but do it right now, just in case just in case my candidate is already interested, then they will be ready to make another move, like to click on the link and check all this information. So let's see the questions. How many follow-ups is okay for us to do a candidate that's not replying? 3 is all right. Do not be too pushy again. Is AmazingHiring a free service for companies? Well, yeah, I can see that Anastasia has already answered all the questions.
Yeah, I tried to help you, and I was answering while you were speaking.
Okay, great. So, so guys, if you have anything else to ask.
Could you please look at the last question in the chat from Ilya? That's probably a third question.
Yeah, I can see this. Yeah, I was talking about it. So, well, you better leave it rather than not. You do not make them, you do not force them to click on these links. You don't saying like, I left here the links, so just please click on them. It's up to them. If they'd like to get more information, then they will check it. You just leave some space, some room for maneuver by inserting these links. Anyway, you can insert, I believe, no more than 3 links, and that wouldn't affect affect the chances of your messages to be sent in spam. So I think it just gives you no harm.
I'm going to share the breakup message right now from our playbook, because the question was in the question part. And there is another question from Natalie about AmazingHiring.
Yeah, I can see, yeah, I can see it. So can you share an example of a breakup email?
I'm going to share it right now.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
I will give it the example, yeah. And another question concerning when I'm reaching out to candidate via AmazingHiring, will it be sent with the email that my account is into? Yeah, that's true. So you can connect your email account, so it won't be from AmazingHiring, it will be from your corporate email. So it will be okay.
So yeah, you usually integrate your Gmail or Outlook account to the system. So it's AmazingHiring acts as a conductor, as a mediator at this point. So do you have any observation on the language you use when sending messages? For example, if I'm looking for developers in Bulgaria, but I message them in English. Well, it's also very, I believe, very relevant question. The thing, it's up to the language which is used among the team, which you invite this person to. I mean, if the developers in the team, you're inviting them, like the company, are speaking mostly English, then I believe you can approach them in English. If it's some different language, just use it. So Anastasia, are you on the way to sharing?
I'm trying to find the breakout.
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, I think it will be a very good idea if we put very good examples of some breakup emails and as well as follow-up emails into the message which we will send you after this webinar is over, along with the presentation. So don't worry about this. You can always discuss it with us. I mean, if you have something to I don't know, to disagree, you can also just contact me via LinkedIn. For example, here you can find some of my contacts, and then we'll discuss it offline. I mean, of this webinar topic.
Let's share your contacts actually. For example, your LinkedIn, so people will add you. I will send the link to the chat right now.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Yeah, they cannot click on the own presentation.
So I'm just telling that I'm always open for discussion, and I think I am gonna, right after the webinar, check the if there's some stats regarding the connection between inserting links into the email and the reply rate. Just continuing the conversation with Ilya, because it's really, really interesting question.
Okay, here we go. Here's the link to Dana's LinkedIn. Don't hesitate to contact her, to ask her for any advices about recruitment practices. She's really great, yeah. Okay, guys, a quick question from my part, as I'm a marketing person. What would you like to have at the next webinar topic? We can create any content as you wish. And me personally, I have an idea to make an online battle where a sourcer or recruiter will do a manual sourcing for technical roles, and we will do it with AmazingHiring, and we will see what's the better, technology or human brains. What do you think about this idea? Just plus or minus, if you like it or not. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be cool, and I'm not afraid if we lose the game, actually. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, guys, you will get the recording, you will get the presentation, you will get some breakout message examples. Let's keep in touch. And have a nice day. Stay at home. Don't be bored.
Okay, guys, have fun. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. It was a pleasure to speak with you, to see you all here, to get all this very tricky questions from some of you, which is really great. So again, have a nice rest of the day and keep safe.
Bye-bye. Okay, I'm ending the webinar.